I'd like to call the meeting to order, please. Johanna, would you read the statement of compliance?
The notice requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act for this meeting have been satisfied. A copy of the annual meeting notice was sent to the press of Atlantic City, the Star Ledger, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, the municipal website, and filed in the office of the municipal clerk. Please turn off all cell phones.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Johanna, please take the roll.
Mayor Collins,
Here.
Commissioner Blumberg, Commissioner Horn.
Here.
All right, we're going to start off today with the Kevin O'Hara McCormick Memorial Scholarship Awards. So I'll hand it off to Danielle.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming. I do have a message from Commissioner Blumberg. He wanted me to read. He wanted to thank the FMBA for keeping the O'Hara Scholarship going, and he wanted to congratulate all the winners. And I would like to thank the residents of Margate for their generous contributions to our fund drive, which allows us to do things like this and give back to the community, so thank you. And this year we have 12 extraordinary seniors who will all be getting $350 checks. They have worked very hard the past 4 years, and they have managed to balance playing multiple sports. They've held jobs, and they've participated in community services themselves, all while maintaining outstanding GPAs. So as their families, I'm sure, are extremely proud, so are we at the fire department. And we would like to give them this award and wish them the best in the future in their endeavors. And I'm going to read out the winners, even though we don't have everybody here. I'm going to read the winners and the high school they attended, the college that they're attending, and their major. Alexandria Forte, graduate of Holy Spirit. She's attending Auburn University, majoring in nursing. Gavin Grant, Holy Spirit, attending Catholic University, majoring in international business.
Stay up here. You can just stay right up here, okay? Perfect.
Claire Brooks, Ocean City High School, undecided, although she has choices of Charleston, College of Charleston, Penn State, Colorado Boulder, University of Delaware, University of Maryland, UMass Amherst, University of Rhode Island, University of South Carolina, University of Wisconsin-Madison. So these, just to give you an idea, these students have had multiple offers, and most of them couldn't even fit, the list of colleges that they were accepted to couldn't even fit on the line for our application. So they're just remarkable. Edward Leeds, Ocean City High School, University of Tennessee, majoring in pre-med. Joseph Pepe, Ocean City High School, St. Joe's University, undecided major. Samantha Seligson, Ocean City High School, is attending St. Joe's University, majoring in physical therapy. Bryn Swift, Atlantic City High School, University of South Carolina. She will be an undecided major. Paul Swift, Atlantic City High School, attending Coastal Carolina, majoring in finance. Mary Wagner, Atlantic City High School, will be attending Villanova University, majoring in finance. Will Robertson, Atlantic City High School, attending Rowan, majoring in accounting. Grace Gaskell, Atlantic City High School, will be attending University of Miami and majoring in marketing. And last but not least, Eva Blanco attended Mainland Regional High School and will be going to American University and majoring in political science.
Just to echo, and I'd ask the mayor commissioner to come, or mayor commissioner to come down. Just to echo what Danielle said, this is a proud moment for the fire department every year, for us to be able to give back to the community But like we said before, we couldn't do it without the help and support of our residents and our visitors that provide to us. But these are exceptional students. The exceptional part is they all reside here in the city of Margate, and they had a great education to start. And moving forward, they're going to continue their educational process. I don't know if the mayor and commissioner want to echo or add anything. Please feel free.
Yeah, just congratulations on your awards and all your hard work.
Could I get everyone to move in so that I can do my job as...
I'm good.
You don't have to stay for the meeting if you don't want to. You're welcome to leave at this time. No, you sit.
All right, so we will move right along with our engineering report. Ed?
Thank you, Mayor. That is a tough act to follow. But I will start out with our dredging project. So we do have an update here. I reported at the last meeting that we were at a point where we were waiting on an answer from the DEP on whether or not we were going to have to resurvey our dredge area. Our survey data is 8 years old. Typical requirement for DEP is they want you to have data that's only 6 months old. So through all the twists and turns on this, we finally got to a point where we needed to have that decision made. The DEP did get back to us today, and unfortunately, they do want us to resurvey the entire dredge area, which is going to be a major undertaking. We knew that this was a possibility. The good news is that we have essentially all of our permit documents in order. We just need to go out, update the bathymetric survey information, bring that into the plan, and what the DEP is asking for specifically is that we go through the new survey data, compare it to the old survey data, and what they are particularly interested in is if there are significant differences in sedimentation, they're going to relook at the sampling plan that we did, because if there's essentially new material there that wasn't there before, and if it's significant enough, they could make us go out and resample, which would put another step into the process. So we got the answer. Wasn't the answer we were looking for, but now we know what we need to do. Practically speaking, from an overall timeline, this doesn't really set us back because we aren't in position. There's a window of time when we could do dredging, generally from June to December. So for Margate, it's going to be essentially from September to December. We're not in position to do anything this year anyway. But it's just another step in the process. So we will do what we have to do to keep the process moving and take it one step at a time, so to speak, because once we get that information, then we'll have to talk to the DEP about, hopefully they let us proceed with the existing sampling that we already completed. So that is where we stand on the citywide dredging permit. Related to that is our Shelter Island alternate dredge disposal site. My last update at the last meeting was that the DEP and Army Corps were intending to meet internally to review the Stockton studies that were completed. They did not meet. I'm told that they're going to meet by the end of the month to get back to us on that. And this is a threshold question on whether or not they agree with the conclusions of the Stockton report that the dredge hole, from a biologic standpoint, is suitable for use for dredge material as a restoration project. So hopefully by the next meeting we have an answer on that as well. So again, on the positive side, we have some more clarity on what we need to do here, and so we will proceed accordingly. On item C is our Winchester Avenue 2022 state aid project that is being revised for re-advertisement and rebidding. Item D is the next phase of Winchester Avenue, which is our 2023 state aid grant. We do have the survey work complete on that. So we're drawing up the base plans, we'll get the engineering started, and the plan is to have this project bid, and this would be a fall, winter, spring construction on that construction cycle. Likewise, we have our grant that we received for the Atlantic Avenue bicycle lane painting project. As I've stated before, this would be to do the green paint in the bike lanes for the areas of Atlantic Avenue that are newly paved. And the long-term plan would be that as we pave new sections of Atlantic Avenue, we would continue to enhance the bike lanes with the green lane painting to better delineate the lanes. Item F is the 2023 road program, which is one of our capital projects in this budget. That'll be one of the next projects to get surveyed sometime this month, and then we will prepare those plans for bidding sometime in the summer or fall. Item G is well number 8. This will be an October project, so we're just putting together the bid specifications to get that out to bid and line that work up to be completed in October. Item H is the reconstruction of the basketball courts. So this will be similar to the work we just did on tennis courts 1 through 4. I think the survey work is done there. We're putting the plans together, and this would be a fall project. And I know we want to coordinate this with the restroom project that we're also working on, that we received grant funding for. So I'll be working with Ken and with Andrew to coordinate those projects. Item I is the Adams Avenue Storm Sewer Pump Station, which is the project that we have outside funding for to fund the majority of the project. I know that Jim Rotella is working with FEMA just to kind of dot some I's and cross some T's on the funding that they're providing for this project, which is over $1.8 million. So we will be working on the engineering there. This will be a major enhancement for drainage over in the Amherst Avenue waterfront area. Turning the page to the roof replacement over at the library, we continue to wait on a quote from the co-op. They, I guess, have a backlog of work, and they've been telling us they're going to get us this quote as soon as possible. And we did ping them again a couple times between the last meeting and this meeting, so we're essentially just waiting for that formal quote to come in. We kind of have an informal price that was more economical than the pricing we received when we bid this project twice. So we're going to stay the course, and once we receive that quote, we'll have a decision to make on if we want to move forward with that co-op to get the roof work done at the library. Item K is the next phase of the renovations over at the municipal building. Plans are pretty much done. We did have just a final tweak we were making to the plans just based on a final review with city staff. So I understand that the HVAC component of this project is being worked out through CM3, so we'll get this the renovation part of the project out to bid and get that work scheduled. Item L is an overall evaluation that we're doing of the library park site, including the pavilion. So we did finish our structural evaluation of the building. We will have our mechanical, electrical, and plumbing evaluation of the building completed next week on June 21st. That's when we're scheduled to come in. And then the purpose of this project is to develop an overall plan on how we may want to improve that site, both the site itself and the building. So we'll identify any deficiencies in the building systems and then propose some recommendations and potential repurposing of that site. So,
Eddie, can I just jump in
Yeah,
for a
sure.
second? Sorry to interrupt.
Absolutely.
I think what's going to be necessary at some point is have a meeting specifically for that area, because there's some challenges there that have come to light, and I believe we really need to get together as a group, a committee, and really look at the plan and determine how we're going to move forward.
agreed. Items M and N are related. They're both related to the city CRS program. We have been working with Jimmy on this. We have a draft version of the flood warning and response plan ready. Again, this is to just keep up our work on the CRS program, to keep our status and pass those in savings on to our residents. We do have a meeting scheduled with FEMA in July 19th, to go over our progress on the CRS updates that we're making, as well as the flood warning and response plan. So once we have that meeting, we'll know what our next steps are to keep moving this forward. So we're making progress there. Item O is our standing iBank application related to the water meter replacement program. I know, Ken, you wanted to provide an update on this
Yeah, I
item.
just want to jump in for a second. So you'll see Resolution 143 on the agenda for Core and Main for our next phase of purchasing the needed meters and commensurate radios for that project. We are moving forward. We need to move forward. But as Eddie said, working alongside of them for the iBank money, we really do need to move forward, but we don't want to give up, right, Eddie,
Right.
on that
That's right.
iBank funding. There's still some more, you're going to go into more detail with more things they're asking us for, but we can't keep going back and forth with them and waiting. We need to move forward.
Right, so I think at the last meeting I explained that essentially what's happening is we have a phase one that's been fully funded outside of the IMAC program, but they want to make sure that whatever we're doing on phase one is going to be compatible for the rest of the project because they're going to be funding it. Without getting into the weeds, there's some information they've requested. We have questions, and we've been going back and forth on email. One of the questions we have is a bit of a threshold question, and we have not gotten a straight answer. They're now asking us to submit our question in hard copy form. I'll pause there and let that sink in. It's the Environmental Protection Agency asking us to print paper out and send it to them.
Hence moving forward. Hence we will need to move forward.
But that's where we're at, and we will continue to, like Ken said, on a parallel track, work with the iBank because it's as much as cumbersome as it is. There's significant funding that is flowing through the iBank, and a big portion of it is essentially grant money. So we are going to need to learn to work with iBank, but it's just can be painful at times. So that is the update on that project. Item P is our next round of 2024 state aid applications to the DOT. I reported on the first page of this report that we have 2 sections of Winchester Avenue that we're currently working on. The decision was made that we're going to just keep on marching down Winchester Avenue with our next state aid application. This would be for Winchester from Brunswick Avenue to Claremont Avenue. So we already have 2022 and 2023 state aid funding for Winchester. This would be an application to continue that work on Winchester under the 2024 state aid program. So that application is being prepared. Applications are due July 1st. We'll have them submitted well before the deadline. Item Q is just a running list of our grants. You can see I shared at the last meeting we received a significant grant for the Washington Avenue Streetscape project. Several of these projects are already in the engineering phase. The Washington Avenue Streetscape project is one that we talked about. Getting some public involvement. It's going to have a big impact in that area of town, so we will get that process moving so we can move into the actual engineering and design portion now that we have that grant. Jumping down to our construction projects, under the maintenance bond list, we did have a project whose maintenance bond is coming due in the next few days actually, which is over on Thurlow Avenue and Bayshore Drive. So we did do an inspection. There is some corrective work that needs to be done there. Just to cover our bases, I worked with our solicitor who sent a letter to the bond company since the bond is expiring on June 18th. We just wanted to make sure that we were covered. The contractor has given every indication that they're going to work with us to do the work that needs to be done, but we don't want to take that risk, have the bond expire, and then the contractor doesn't fulfill his obligations and we're not covered by the bond company. So Scott sent that letter, so we should be all squared away there. Did we hear back from them at all?
I have not heard back.
I don't think we heard back, but I think we notified them, which,
Sent it to them by certified
Right.
regular mail,
Yep.
and I believe that's what's required of us to do.
Right.
But I would like a response back from them.
I
If
agree.
you're in communication with whoever you're in communication with them, say, hey, guys, we need confirmation that you've received this.
Sure. I'll let you know if
I'll have the certified mail, but
Right.
nevertheless.
Understood. Page 3. So we have a list of projects in closeout. These are essentially our last round of projects that are now just all in various stages of closeout. We did move the tennis court project up to the closeout list, as at this point the project's done. We're just finishing out the paperwork. There's a couple projects on here that have outside funding associated with them, so there's a couple extra steps we have to take to close these jobs out. The library HVAC work is essentially complete. There's a little bit of punch list work that the contractor needs to complete, and that was a prerequisite to us doing the roof work that I talked about earlier in the report. At the municipal building, the work there is substantially complete. We do have a punch list that we want to share with the contractor. Ken, I'll be reaching out to you to just review this punch list before we send it over, just to make sure we're all on the same page, and then we'll make sure that those items get addressed before we close the project out. Item W, we touched on. This is the actual phase 1 of the water meter replacement program that we are moving forward with on the agenda today for the reasons we talked about. Item X is the batting cage project. I met over at the batting cages with some of Andrew's staff. We're looking at making a couple little tweaks to get that cage set up the way we want it. We're just waiting to schedule a site meeting with the contractor over there, and once we get that squared away, we can get that project finished out. The Wall of Fame project is on this list. I believe at this point, I guess Ken will need to talk about how we want to move forward with this.
That's another area where we're going to have to prioritize and see how you want to address that.
Right.
The remaining portions of that project. I'm sorry. Did you get that?
So we have the foundation in place for the wall. We're just going to talk about different ways we might be able to get that wall built and completed over at the SIG Rim Complex. Item Z is the 2022 road program, which was finished well ahead of schedule. There's just some punch list work that's being wrapped up by Ferriazzi. That'll soon move up to the closeout list. And then the last item on here is the flood mitigation work at this building. We are working with the contractor to get some of these materials, the special order materials, so we're just getting everything squared away with the manufacturers so we can get a timeline on delivery and then establish a schedule for construction. And that concludes my report.
Great, thank you, Ed. We'll now move on to department head reports. Scott?
I have 3 items: lead paint, Lucy, and consent for use of the beach. But before we go to that, could we just go back to the dredging?
I knew you would.
Shock.
I paused. I was going to let you
It's
get in
over
there.
7 years been pushing this. I literally have hundreds and hundreds of hours, most of it non-billed, trying to get the damn dredging permit from the state of New Jersey. Now, I know what that means if we have to resurvey our entire bayfront, and I also know what it means if we have to resample. My recollection is, straighten me out where I'm wrong, what's the cost to resurvey, and how do you propose to do that?
Well, it'll be a
Is it-
bathymetric survey, so.
Is it Stockton? Was it Ponzio? I forget who initially
It
did.
was a Ponzio survey, but there's different
Yes,
survey companies out
I
there.
went
that
out
we
with
could-
them one time.
That we could use.
So what do you project that will cost
I don't have
us because the state now wants us to do it again?
I don't have that information, Scott, but it's,
All right.
it's a significant cost, for sure.
It's about 50,000, I believe, but I'm not positive. I know that the bay bottom has changed in 7 years. I'm a bay guy. I'm out there all the time on my boat. And much of it is sand. I've even sampled it myself I've had a guy help me. It's basically sand, and a lot of it comes from beach replenishment of both Absecon Island and Ocean City. And it is indeed coming into our back bays and clogging up our lagoons, clogging up our waterways and our channels. So why has it taken this long for them to do this? It's distressing. Honest to God, it's really distressing because I know how much it's going to cost. And now the next step, you're going to love this one. We have to do laboratory sampling. Now, when we first started to do this, believe it or not, there was not a laboratory in the state of New Jersey that could satisfy the DEP requirements for lab analysis of the sampling of the bay material. What they're looking for is contaminants. We're not the Hudson River. We are South Jersey, where we had virtually no industry. But nevertheless, we had to, at one point, send them out to, I think it went to Arizona, and then we found a lab in Pennsylvania.
It was Pittsburgh.
You remember? It was Pittsburgh, finally. And I believe it was, what, $100,000 plus on testings? I believe it was. So when some bureaucrat from the DEP casually says to you, oh, by the way, yeah, let's resurvey that, and maybe we'll have to retest it again, it's going to cost us a hell of a lot more money.
Well, to be clear, I don't want to jump to conclusions.
Well-
We don't know if we're going to have to resample.
right.
It's a matter of regulations. The regulations actually state that the survey data can't be older than 6 months.
Right, but the delay is not from us. The
I'm not
delay is
disagreeing.
from
Your
them.
point is well taken.
They
I
sit
don't
on their
disagree with
ass
your
and
point.
they
Right.
don't move it forward, and then they say, geez, it didn't move forward. Go spend another $100,000. Some of that was grant money, though. I know that.
Yeah, Ed, do we have any guarantee that if we resurvey, that they will turn it around within 6 months and and get us moving with the
Well,
permit.
It's the data when it's submitted.
Right.
We knew before we submitted anything that the data was old. The
Correct.
survey information was old. And
Right.
we're not surprised about this, but we expected this answer about 3 years ago.
Right. So we made a decision, rather than just proactively surveying it and spending the money to survey it, we
Right.
wanted to see if we could get our permit without having to resurvey it.
But we need to light a fire on this. Now, Ocean City hired a lobbyist to push their thing through. I don't know that we have to do that, but maybe we do. 7+ years to try to get a dredging permit? I'm not criticizing you. I find no fault with you. I know it's not you. I went to all those meetings. What would there been? At least a dozen of them in Trenton, in Philadelphia, Army Corps, and now this very disappointing. Same with Shelter Island. I mean, that makes so much sense. The bottom of Shelter Island is anoxic. There's nothing alive down there. They don't have clams down there. There's certainly no grass. There's no oxygen. That's what that means. And now what, we're going to have to sample the bottom of Shelter Island again too?
I don't know. I don't
Well,
know. But your point is well taken.
Very distressing.
There's a lot of
I
twists and turns
just-
over the past years, but I want to answer the mayor's question. So I think the difference is that we're now in a position, we've done a lot of the legwork, where the expectation is if we do the survey work, setting aside the sampling issue, which I agree can be a big issue if we have to go out and resample, let's assume that we don't, the permit plans are essentially prepared. So we would essentially be taking the new survey data, we already have everything delineated, we have the DEP's blessing that this is a maintenance dredging project, we would bring in the new survey data, they want us to do an analysis on the difference in volume of what we're going to dredge with the new survey compared to the old survey. And the expectation would be, again, setting aside the sampling question, that we would then have a set of permit documents that are in order and are ready to be submitted and finalized, reviewed, and approved. There's been a lot of twists and turns that have gotten us to this point, to Scott's point.
A lot of twists.
Right. So hopefully, being optimistic, that's where we would be once the additional survey was completed.
Once the survey contract's awarded, do we have a time frame until how long that would take to
Probably
be completed?
It probably, once it's awarded, by the time you mobilize, you do the work, you process it, and you prepare the plans, could be a couple months, you know?
We can come up with bid specs.
Roger and I were saying, we both kind of came to the same conclusion independently. This is essentially going to create a 6-month process that we didn't have to deal with
Absolutely.
before.
At least it.
Right.
Okay, thank you. Scott,
3
you
items.
continue.
So, first, a good thing. You may have seen or read about the consent order with the greenhouse and the DEP. Recall that we, the city, took the position that Governor Murphy's executive order allowing restaurants and bars in Margate to survive through COVID or help survive, that they could use adjoining properties. And we took the position that amongst those establishments, the greenhouse could use the beach in front of them. If you recall, there was some fanfare and some people were unhappy about the idea that our only commercial establishment on our beachfront was able to use the beach area for part of their facility. Well, that has been settled with the state. You might recall that the governor's executive order was subsequently enacted by statute. They felt it was so agreeable that places like Margate could do this. And we had a hand in that. We were involved with the ABC. We were involved all the way around here to get our establishments and many other establishments, other cities as well, benefited. So now they are going to pay a fine, which they've already written a check, because they left their bar equipment on the beach over winter. So our ever helpful DEP now wants to fine them for that. Okay, the case is settled. It's over and done with. However, they need to apply for a CAFRA permit, which means they need the city of Margate to consent to allow them. Now, in the past, I believe the mayor simply signed the consent form. We didn't go through a resolution process where we were, I think we were even defendants in this at one point, but then the greenhouse took over the defense. So my recommendation is that we sign the CAFRA permit, which allows them to have the temporary facility on the beach, which under the statute will go through the end of November 2024, right? It's only for 2 years.
Correct.
So I didn't propose a resolution, although we could do that. That's not how we did it in the past, when we allowed others to use, I don't know, street, sidewalk, exterior, non-contiguous parking lots. But you have it as your whatever your pleasure is. But I do think the mayor, we need, if you guys agree, give them the consent so that they now get this CAFR permit that the state has asked them to apply for. Any comments or criticisms on this? Anybody feel differently? Should we good with it? Roger, I'm looking at you, really. You good? I know that you had given the zoning permit. I want your input. It's important. I value your input.
Under state statute, the zoning officer has the empowerment to sign off on a zoning permit to use contiguous lands for parking lots, extension of premises,